Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I thought we'd look at a flourish, your first real flourish if you're following these videos in order. And while it's not necessarily a beginner's skill, it's something every beginner wants to do. It's something that laymen like to see. It's the card spring. We're going to be learning today the different methods. There are two to be able to do this, and with practice, once you get used to doing little springs, you can start looking at making them bigger, and people just love to see you do it. They're like, I've had people go, you do a cool trick, and they go, that's brilliant, can you do that thing with a card shoot? And you're like, yeah, I can. And once you get used to it, you can do pretty much a whole deck. So let's come in a bit closer and start talking about how it's done. Okay, so the card spring. Now there are two methods to do this. And to begin with, you're going to find it quite hard, so don't be afraid of using half a deck, because it takes quite a lot of hand strength. Now the two main ways to do it are from either the corners with middle finger and thumb, and we'll go over the shoulder as well afterwards, or you could do it top and bottom, which will take more of the hand. There are different advantages and disadvantages to the different positions. I find the corners easier, so I quite like doing it that way. I just find it comfortable. I can do it, if I'm having a good day, I can get quite a good distance and quite a nice consistent pressure. If you do it from this position, you can then do other moves down the line called pressure fans, but I find it not such a comfortable way to spring cards. But we can look at both methods, and then you can decide for yourself which one you prefer. So let's go first then with my preferred method. Take your middle finger. Now if we take half a deck, for those getting used to it, something to bear in mind, this is really hard to do with a brand new deck. It's a great way to break in a new deck. But if you're trying to learn this for the first time, I'd use a deck you've broken in a little bit, that you've used a bit, just because they'll be a bit softer and a bit more flexible. So middle finger on one corner, thumb on the other diagonal. Okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to push those two corners until the deck bends. And then you'll have a lot of built up energy. And then if you keep pushing, you're going to see they'll start naturally shooting out. Now when you begin with it, might not come out tidily. If I do it with my left hand, it'll probably look a lot worse. There you go. I'd say it's quite staccato in bursts. To get a smooth one, it's just practice. Now when you're pushing there, you're going to keep pushing at a steady pressure, because as the deck thins, you need to push in further to get the cards to keep shooting out all the way through. All right, now I'm doing it quite close, just so you can see it tidily. You can shoot for miles. Now what's the other hand doing? The other hand is going to be quite open. It's going to be slightly angled, because it's going to catch the cards, and you want your fingers spread out, because that way they'll land in the hand. Don't worry about the cards that land a bit messy. Sometimes you'll get a tidy one. Sometimes an odd card will shoot a bit. But even if I try it deliberately and they come in like that, and you've got them all, and then you just tidy them up. Or if you're near a table and you want to look nice, if they're all messy, you can just opposite pinches. That's how a pro does it, to look nice and tidy. And then go again. So I'm just letting that happen. Now, if you do this a lot, the deck will start to bend. So I tend to, after a while, do a few the other way, just to keep the deck in reasonable shape. Okay? Just that. And as I said, start with a few, get a feel for it. It is hard on the hands when you're not used to it. And it's a flourish. It's purely to look cool. There are a few uses for this move, but they're pretty small. Really, it's just a nice way to warm up, nice way to look like you know your stuff. Now, if you're using the other hand, I'll give it a go. Okay, that's hard work. My left hand doesn't normally do this move. But I'm doing the same thing. Now, if you're really struggling for strength, like my left hand, you can add your index finger to get a bit of extra support. Okay? Now, as I said, I don't normally use this hand, so it is a lot weaker. But you get the idea. Okay? Still that, and if you need it, as I did on that hand, the index can back it up. So now let's look at method 2. Method 2 is this way. Okay, I'm using the top and bottom of the deck. It's not the way I practice this move. I'm just showing you, for those who don't like my preferred method, an alternative. And I'll try to do that in most tutorials when we get to things like second dealing and double lifts and things, because there's lots of different ways. So, thumb on the bottom, fingers on the top, and you're going to push. Again, you're looking for that bend in the deck, storing up kinetic energy, and then you just keep pushing until they start to spring. So let's see if I can do a decent one. Something like, not brilliant. And this is exactly the process you're going to have, okay? Because I don't do it this way as a habit. Now you might get that happen. If you've got too much pressure, you might just get a couple pop. You can actually make one card shoot sometimes if you get that just right. Now, you'll notice when I did it this way, I personally find it easier and I had more control about where they landed. But that's just because I've practiced that method. Loads of people do it this way instead. It's purely preference. So now we'll take another look over the shoulder for those who want to see a slightly different angle. All right then, so now we're over the shoulder. Again, the first method. And it's about having a steady, consistent energy. Okay? I'm just taking it slow. I'm not trying to get distance. With practice you can shoot them absolutely miles, but the further you go, the harder it is to catch them tidally because they'll spread more in the air. If I'm just practicing, I like to get about this distance. And you'll see some magicians, they do the chase effect. So as they do this hand, it'll move out and the other hand will catch up. Still the same move, okay? That's, my hand's getting a little tired, so my index finger's going to support, that's fine. And the move is still the same. You go in the corners, middle, thumb, index if you need it, backing it up. The other fingers are not involved, okay? These are not in there. The other hand, nice and spread, slightly angled to catch them. Now, if you want to try the other method, and I do recommend trying both to see what works for you, there you go, 3 fingers on top, thumb underneath, bend, and shoot. Okay, so if I take half a packet, try the other hand, so you can see the different angles. Ugh. Definitely not my preferred hand. There you go, and they're bouncing off my hand a bit. Tidy up, practice. Consider the angle of your hand. Well, if they're hitting this bit, then I probably need to angle slightly more down. Okay. If I'm going to go for the other method, like so. There you have it. The card spring. A great flourish. Good fun to do. Nice for warming up your hands with. Remember what I said about, see how my deck is now really bent? Just do a few the other way and I'll go back. to being nice and tidy. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to see more, and I'll see you next time.